Hey everybody, welcome to Broadway.com's Live at 5. It is Thursday, November 1st. It's a new month, and I am Ryan Lee Gilbert.
And I'm Paul Wontorek.
And we are joined here in the studio by the magnificent Caitlin Moynihan.
Wow, I love that. Hello.
And we have two very exciting guests with us today. They are leading the national tour of The King and I all across the country. We have Angela Baumgardner and Pedro with us in a little bit. And very exciting things happening today. Torch Song.
It's a big Broadway day.
Yeah,
Torch
Song
night.
Opening on Broadway.
Yeah.
The Cher Show is here, beginning previews.
Stop.
It's here. It's finally here.
Let's do this, bitches.
Absolutely, absolutely. And To Kill a Mockingbird has
What?
begun previews. I'm very excited.
This is a
I
big
can't
day
wait.
in Broadway
It's a very
history.
big day. And last but not least, a new Samantha Barks vlog for
The
Pretty
final
Woman.
one.
The final one, the
this
finale.
Is the series finale.
Big day. It's
Although
a big
you never
day.
know. Sometimes new episodes
People,
pop
our
up.
vloggers
You
love
never
to come back.
know.
Absolutely. And we have lots of stuff to talk about with our guests. But first, let's talk about today's top 5.
This Tony winner is set to star in this highly anticipated new biopic.
Yeah, so this is not a stage project, but it's all stage people
Exactly.
involved with it.
top
So
to
this is
bottom.
why we care about it. So Gloria Steinem.
Yes.
She's a
There's
hot topic.
show
There's
off
an
Broadway right
off-Broadway
now. Christine
play.
Lottie. Yeah.
Correct. And now Julie Taymor.
Yes,
Tony winner
one of my
is-
directors.
Is making. Oh, that's right. Ryan appeared famously in
Yes.
Across the Universe.
Famously, yes.
Yes, I love that story. So Julie Taymor is making a movie about Gloria Steinem, and
Very
it is
cool.
written by Sarah Rule, theater person.
Absolutely.
And now Bette Midler may be joining the cast as Bella Abzug, who is the famous New York-based attorney, who took part in the anti-war group Women's Strike for Peace, and went on to be a U.S. representative.
That's right.
And so that's like a good meaty role for Bette Midler. Of course, Bette Midler won a Tony Award just like a little over a year ago.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
right.
she's a 3-time Emmy winner and a 2-time Oscar nominee. She should have won For the Boys. I love that movie.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
This
or maybe
cast.
Maybe the Rose. Julianne Moore is also playing Gloria Steinem, and now Alicia Vikander.
Oscar winner Alicia Vikander, yes.
Which one? Oscar.
And
I
she's
loved her
on-
as the robot in Ex Machina.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and isn't she with Michael Fassbender?
She
I believe?
is.
Are they still?
I think
They're
still
married.
together. They both played
Oh, they're
robots.
married?
They're married now.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Caitlin.
Devastating
Anyway,
us.
so this is an exciting project. Look for it.
Yes, and vote on November 6th.
Oh, very true. And this is super exciting because we have a little bit longer to see this highly acclaimed off-Broadway play.
Yeah, the Mean Girls have taken over New York. There's the Broadway Mean Girls, of course, but then there is there's Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play that is playing off-Broadway at
So
MC
good.
Cedars Lucille
Keeps coming
Lortel
back.
Theater. It keeps coming back. Well, it was here, went away, it came back, and now it just keeps getting extended. The show was initially going to close on November 25th, but now you have until December 9th to see the show, which is directed by Tony winner Rebecca Teichman, of course. It opened on October 22nd, and it is the story of reigning queen bee at Ghana's most exclusive boarding school and a new student who threatens to steal her crown. Sounds familiar. Yeah, people love it, especially people around this office. So go check it out.
And this darling has found a new home in London.
Home, I'm Darling. What is that? It's a new play. And it's moving to the West End. It just finished a run, or it is finished. Yeah, it played the National Theater, the Dorfman Theater. It's a new play by Laura Wade, directed by, I'm going to say Tamara Harvey. Maybe Tamara, but I like Tamara.
I like Tamara. I like the way that
glad
one
you
moves.
Little
agree.
zest.
Yeah.
This is a story about Judy, who's in a seemingly happy marriage that unravels because being a domestic goddess is a lot of work. Catherine Parkinson plays Judy, and she will reprise her role for the West End run. It opens January 26th, and it runs through April 13th at the Duke of York's Theater.
And then it's going on tour.
That's going on tour.
My goodness. They really
Like
like
The King
that
and
show
I.
over there. That's right.
This summer's Staple Theater is getting a makeover.
Yes. So this has been a long time coming. So the Delacorte Theater opened in 1962, and they have not renovated it or updated it since. It's just, and it's been fine, but it is in need, it needs to undergo a little renovation. So that's finally happening.
You think critters live inside that?
I've heard raccoons. There's lots of raccoons about at the Delacorte. But anyway, people are very safe. This renovation will begin in 2020, and the work will be completed by 2022, hopefully. So the summer of 21 will be dark at
What?
the Delacorte Theater. But the public theater knew you were all going to lose your minds, so they will offer the free theater programming at a different venue to be announced for that summer. So we have a couple
Right here.
right here,
The
right
Live
in the
at 5
Broadway.com studio. And
Surprise.
it's going to be a $110 million overhaul
What?
of the amphitheater. Yeah, that's really exciting. I love the Delacorte.
Absolutely.
Lots of you do.
It's
So
a New York institution.
absolutely.
And you can count down to the new year with this Broadway favorite.
Okay, so you are an iPhone person, right?
Absolutely. I hate it when I get green text
So I'm going to help everyone
messages.
out. Just hold up your phones to. I don't have mine. Hold it up to the speaker, whatever you're listening to, and just say the following: Hey Siri, remind me on November 12th at 12 p.m. to buy tickets to see Aaron Tveit's New Year's Eve concert.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
You're
good.
welcome.
Well
now
done.
you will get an alert on November 12th because Aaron Tveit, who we love,
Who
of
we
course,
adore,
is
yeah.
doing a show at 11 p.m. on December 31st at Feinstein's 54 Below. Every year they get a headliner and do a fantastic concert. It ain't cheap, but it's worth it.
It is.
It will feature Tveit. Now that they announced specifically, he will sing highlights from his career, which includes Catch Me If You Can, Grease Live, Company, Next to Normal, Hairspray, Les Mis, Moulin Rouge.
Now
There's
there's
a
a
little show
new-
called Moulin Rouge that
Yes.
anyone who saw it in Boston, including myself, fell in love with. Yeah, and by
Yeah.
the way, another show tonight, Karen Olivo, who
Oh,
played
right,
Satine
absolutely.
in Moulin Rouge with Aaron Tveit. It's her first performance in Fun Home.
That's right.
In Madison, I think it's the Forward Theater in Madison, Wisconsin, and I did a little interview with her. So congratulations, Karen. She shaved off half her head.
That's
and
Commitment.
brave. That's a
and
brave
hopefully
move.
we haven't heard what's next for Moulin Rouge yet, but big things are coming.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, so
New Year's
get
Eve
your
plans
tickets,
always
start
end up
saving
being
your money.
disappointing, so you should go spend it with Aaron Tveit.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Bring it in.
Absolutely. Paul, thank you so much. So great
Thank you,
doing the
Ryan.
news with you as always. Caitlin, why don't you tell us about today's very special guests?
Yes. Guys, we have Angela and Pedro in the studio with us today. They're about to take the classic story of The King and I on the road. We are so excited. This actually marks Angela's national tour debut. She has previously appeared in the regional productions of Mary Poppins, Peter Pan, Beauty and the Beast, Sister Act, and Merrily We Roll Along. And this is Pedro. He earned a BA in music from Harvard. Okay, that's fine. And he has starred in regional productions of The Fantastic, South Pacific, Evita, The Addams Family, The Producers, and Jesus Christ Superstar. They know what's going on. We got a lot to talk about. So everyone, please welcome Pedro, Angela, and Ryan.
Hello, friends.
Hello.
How are
Good
you?
to see you.
We got to meet just the other day. You had your media event for the King and I tour. People across the country are in for a real treat with you guys and with this show. How excited are you to be a part of this classic musical, and why are you excited to take it across the road? On the road, across the country. I mean, what do you love about this show?
Well, I think it's a story that, even though it was written over 50 years ago, is still timely today.
Absolutely.
And really, I think for me, the takeaway from the show is, even when you have differences with people, it's about being curious and finding out what you have in common and how you can find some common ground. And I think that's just as important today as it has been for the past 50 years, even when the show first came out. And I think for me to be able to bring that story to people across the country is really the most exciting part for me.
Yeah, like it's certainly a show that is always relevant, of course, but there does seem to be an added layer of timeliness right now with the show. This seems like the right antidote maybe for parts of the country to see a show like this, to get to know these characters, have this story told. When do you remember when you first fell in love with The King and I, Angela?
I was just thinking of that. I grew up on Rodgers and Hammerstein, and so every musical of theirs is one of my favorites. But I remember seeing The King and I as a kid and loving it. And I was just thinking today, every time I see it at a different decade of life, there's new things that excite me, that intrigue me, that I learn just by watching it. And I've learned so much even preparing, we leave on tour tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. Thanks for stopping by the way.
We're so happy to
Very
make
busy.
it. Yeah, so just even working together on this project and getting it ready, working with our director, Shelley Butler, and digging in and finding things that I didn't even know was in there has been thrilling. And to get to take it across the country and Canada.
Right, yeah, of course, North America.
Is wonderful. I can't wait to see all the different cities and meet the different people and travel with this amazing cast.
Yeah, I got to meet several of your cast members. Of course, all of the children are absolutely adorable.
I love them.
I was gonna say, how have you been getting along working with all of the kids?
Yeah.
You know, there's a famous saying, "Don't work with animals or kids." It's wrong. You should absolutely work with kids. How has the experience been for you guys? Are you bonding as a unit, as a company?
I love them. When they have a tutoring room, and sometimes, you know, when we're walking into rehearsal, they're in tutoring. So I stop by and wave, and they go, Mrs. Anna.
That's amazing.
And they come and give me a hug. It's like, I'm not teaching them. They actually have a tutor, but but it's like, I just love them. There's something about Anna she's so strong, and I think her only weakness is the children. If she has one, they're the ones that capture her heart. And honestly, I think it's like her sense of purpose in being in Siam as well.
Absolutely. I want to elaborate on that a little bit, as a matter of fact. These are two characters in the canon of musical theater that are iconic. Performers love to play these characters. Pedro, for you, what are you enjoying most about creating your version of the King of Siam? What's been the most rewarding part of this experience?
Is the complexity of the character, because you know, when you come to Rodgers and Hammerstein, you definitely expect the whimsical aspect to the story, but at the same time, they're so progressive, and there's always a really deep message in there. And to see how it's been portrayed in the musical, and I've done a lot of my own personal research on the history of who the man really was, and just navigating the reality of that, because I think Bartlett Sher, really, when he did this revival, he wanted the stakes to be high, as they always should be, but also very real, too. And I think, and a lot of Michael Jürgen did the sets, and they really did a lot of study about, King Mongkut was a monk for 26 years before he became king. And so his palace, it's not, there's not a lot of gold everywhere. It is very Buddhist in its approach. And I think that's just really fantastic and helps me also as a performer to really live in that world. But it really is the complexity of that man, and how what he was pursuing was really education, and he really felt that was the most important thing. And of course, here comes the teacher, right?
Right.
But she's always
who you asked to
yes,
who you struggle with,
absolutely,
you asked to come.
and it's always just that thorn in his side a little bit, right? Because he's dealing with big issues, and from his perspective, it's such a small issue, but. And navigating our friendship as well, as he really realizes that she is what Siam needs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And same sort of line of questioning for you, Angela. What has been the most rewarding part of creating your take on Anna?
Yeah, I think, I mentioned before that her strength, and it's not just I'm going to, grit through the hard things, but I think she comes to Siam with a sense of destiny. Even reading the book that the musical is based on, that's exactly what she wrote in her memoirs. Is I came with a sense of destiny. This was the job that I should take. And so to see her impact on that nation, because she's given a gift of impacting the next generation, specifically the next king.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And so for me, like when I'm playing the role, I have that strength, her beliefs, her principles, her strength of character, and then that little weakness for the children just sneaks in right when she's, I'm just going to leave this place. It's, children.
Right. Yeah. And as people that, obviously were interested in doing musical theater, what kind of washes over you when you're singing Rodgers and Hammerstein's songs? Like where does your head, where do your heart go? What do you love most about singing this music?
I get chills every day. Every day that we're doing this show. It's moments in the show, and then it's moments singing. there are so many classic songs that if people have never seen The King and I, they'll realize, oh, I
Right.
know that song. I know that song too.
Yeah, and be like, oh, is this the show that song came from? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Was this something, Pedro, did you always know that being a performer is what you wanted to do? Did you kind of like follow that path early, or?
Not at all.
No. Take us through.
Of course, I'll try to give you the short version. But essentially, I went to Harvard with the intention of studying astrophysics.
Wow.
Yes. Made the switch over.
Made a hard left turn at some point.
Made the switch over to music. Intended to be a professor. College level professor.
Yeah.
Went home, did a lot of music directing, a lot of conducting, and that's kind of where I always was. But theater was always, since 8th grade, just a hobby to me. And it wasn't until I kind of came to a crisis where I was going to have to finish the teacher education program to get my certification to teach at my alma mater, my high school alma mater.
Okay, wow.
And
In Hawaii.
Yes.
Oh, in Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
Okay, yeah.
And would have had to given up my nights, which in my brain means immediately that's community theater time, that's theater, and couldn't do it. So had to reassess.
Wow.
And made the jump to New York. So
that's impressive.
So even more so, being able to take that and what I have learned in the journey I've taken across the country, again, why it's so important to me, to really touch the children out there, because I was too, much the same. I can't imagine, how different my journey would be had I not. So.
And we talk a lot about, when I'm interviewing, stars of tours, about how I was a person that got to know musical theater through touring productions. My family couldn't come to Broadway.
Same as me.
It was through tours that we got to know everything. And Angela, what about you? Was this path to performing always kind of written in the stars for you, or?
Maybe it was written in the stars, but I didn't know it.
Those stars weren't. Yeah, I got it.
I mean, I feel like Pedro and I have such similar stories. I studied biology and psychology in college. I ended up becoming a life coach as well. I had taught voice lessons, worked in business, worked for nonprofits. I've done, I mean, I don't know if there's something about our generation that we don't stay in the same job for decades. But there's just, I always have this hunger for more and doing more and doing new things. And
I think it works well for our characters.
It does.
Certainly does,
And for doing different shows as well. Like there's always this hunger for learning more and doing more. So I think it was about 8 years ago that I started thinking, oh, you know what? Yep, I'm gonna actually do this. It was a dream and a hobby as a kid, but yeah, 4 years ago I moved to LA and I've been performing in LA, and just now I split my time, about half in LA, half in New York.
And now you're making your national tour debut. That must be very, very exciting.
It's so exciting.
If you had to, I know we want to open it up, take some questions from people watching, but if you had to come up with an ideal reaction that audiences across North America will have to this tour, to this show, to your company, what do you hope that will be? How do you hope to engage these audiences that you go in front of?
Well, I think for me, much the same as I said earlier, come to hear the music, the music you know and love, and the music just already hits your heart. But the lyrics, the book, it's so spectacular, and there are so many things to take away from it. And so I feel, just listen with your heart and really listen, and with your mind too as well, because there are so many messages that we can all take away from that.
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to have a different experience, but like I said, every time, depending on what age I am, I get something new out of the story. But there's so much depth in it, and I think the main thing is, like Pedro said, having your heart open, because take the journey of the story.
Right.
It's such a beautiful story, and I think there's so much that's unexpected. You think, oh, Rodgers Hammerstein, well, this will be a fun evening of enjoyment. But it goes deep. It goes really deep.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of these new musicals that are all fantastic, obviously, they get a lot of attention because they're new and they're different. But these classic musicals are classics for a reason. It's all there. It's an easy sell. It's a good night. So yes, you're all in for a treat. What would some of our readers like to know from Angela and Pedro?
Of course. So this first question is for Angela. Tom would like to know, what is it like dancing in that dress?
Oh,
the dress.
The dress.
The dress. Well, we've been practicing with the
I got to see a little.
We have. It's when I first tried on the costumes, I was overwhelmed with how beautiful they were. 7 costumes. Everyone we put on, I said, this is beautiful. I'm like,
it's the best dressed role in musical
I
theater.
said, I'm ruined for anything less. But we talk about dancing with the dress. It's our third partner.
Yes, Greg
In the
Zane,
dance.
who has been helping us, he always says it's a third partner.
Yeah.
It's that extra.
And it once I stop, it keeps moving.
Yeah.
And making sure neither one of us trips.
I was there's all sorts of like grips in there.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
little secret, there are actually handles underneath
I would hope
several
so,
layers. I'm still figuring out exactly how to use the handles, but they're hidden.
Is there a feeling that washes over you though? Like when you're dancing to that music in that dress in this show, it just feels like it must be a very powerful moment as somebody that is a performer doing that. Like it must just feel whimsical.
Whimsical's a good word. Yeah. Otherworldly.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really, I think the audiences will be swept away. I get swept away.
Yeah.
When we get
And
to do that part.
I mean, and the way that it's choreographed as well, the way we do it,
It's so
we
beautiful.
start with small circles and it opens up, and just naturally in that movement, both of us, I really think, I mean, the joy is really apparent.
I also think the speed was great when you two, like you guys were whipping across. I was like, they've got that practice. Way to go.
They've gotten that down. So Dory would like to know, what is your favorite song to sing in the show?
Mine is Hello, Young Lovers.
Oh, it's such a great song. Yeah.
Such a great
Any
favorite.
reason why specifically for you?
I think, again, it's so deep and it's so personal. And I get to look at each of the women as I'm singing it, because they're all on stage, all the wives of the king, and it's not just, let me tell you this beautiful story of love, which it is, but it's also, it's teaching them.
Yeah.
And it's empowering them. And yeah,
It's a beautiful
it's my favorite
moment.
one.
Yeah.
Well, I don't sing very much in the show, actually. I only have a
choices
couple
are
of
limited.
songs. Yes, I do have a patter song, which is enjoyable, but
absolutely.
also, you know, working with, attempting to instill that the feeling of a dialect and whatnot in there is challenging. I would say my favorite moment, my favorite song in the show is Something Wonderful. And also particularly for my character as well, it really puts it so clearly. You know, this is a man who speaks with his heart. His heart is not always wise.
Yeah.
And the rhyme there is this is a man who tries. And that it just encapsulates so readily, I think, who King Mongkut is. So
Absolutely.
Very meaningful, that song.
And I have to say, we had Deanna Choi come in here and do a music video for us of Something Wonderful.
Yes.
And you're going to want to keep an eye out
She's
for that.
wonderful.
She's
So much talent.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And
it's
I'm
gorgeous.
on stage the whole time she sings it, so I
Yeah.
just get to
You
enjoy
just sit
it.
there and melt with
Every
her.
night. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's do one more question,
Absolutely.
and this one's fun. Elise asked, what is your favorite Rodgers and Hammerstein show besides The King and I?
Tough.
Tough
Okay,
one.
I'm from Oklahoma, so Oklahoma.
Yes, yes. Did you get to see, there's a production going over at St. Anne's Warehouse in Brooklyn of Oklahoma. There's like an actual, like you have, at intermission, you have like a barbecue
Like a
with
chili.
the cast. Like,
Like
yeah, like
home.
you have, like home.
Like
That's right.
home.
Wow.
Oklahoma.
What you would
Fantastic
expect.
choice. Yeah.
Well, this is going to be funny because I would say that mine is South Pacific.
You know, guys. Great answers. You know
Yeah.
what? I think you can't go wrong picking Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals. Fantastic choices, guys. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming
Thank
in
you,
and
Ryan.
chatting. You're both so lovely. They're all in for such a treat across North America.
And we're in for a treat. I
Absolutely. Make sure
yeah.
you get tickets to see The King and I with these two wonderful human beings and an incredible cast. It's going all across North America. Make sure you take the time to see it. Thank you both again
Yes.
so
Thank
much.
you, Ryan.
Look forward to seeing you soon. Caitlin, why don't you take us out?
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We are live at 5 every single day on Facebook. You can listen to us in a podcast form by searching for hashtag live at 5 and hitting that subscribe button. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We talk to Caitlin Kanunen of The Prom.